Hey guys, welcome to a bookshelf tour. I have not filmed one of these for I think like a year and a half. It's been a while. We have the same bookcases we had back on my first bookshelf tour, but the books have changed a lot. And so I'm gonna kind of show you what we have here. For the most part, these are books that we have either read or either I've read or my kids have read. These are not all the books in our house. If I had to guess, I would say there's probably 700 books here and then like another 300 books scattered. My husband has a bookshelf in his office. I have my TBR shelf in my office and my TBR cart. My kids have tons of books in their room as well, their rooms. So this is like the bulk of our books, but not nearly all of them. And let's just start the tour, I guess. So I'm gonna start with this like mini bookshelf that I have. These are the Billy bookcases. We have extenders on the top ones over here. That's an extra extension that covers the entire span of it. So there's one extra extension, and I've thought about adding another one on some of these ones at the peak here, but I haven't yet. So then we've got the standard sizes, and then like this one at the beginning here is a skinny one. Okay, so I'm not going to be telling you every single book that I own, but on the top here I have my cookbooks and an old Risk game that we actually never even use. Then I have Royal Diary and Dear Canada books here. These are mostly for my daughter. I just collect these whenever I go to the thrift store and I find some that we don't own already. This row that spans this small bookshelf and this next one is kind of my rainbow middle grade shelves. So over here we kind of have the white ones with a spider plant kind of taking over. So just a variety of middle grade books with white spines. This shelf is kind of like my currently reading nonfiction. I've got like my prayer journal, my tablet, a bunch of nonfiction and notebooks and stuff like that that I kind of use on a daily or fairly regular basis. And then down here I have a bunch of nonfiction books, poetry books, Shakespeare, a Robin Hood book, just kind of like some really big books here that didn't fit well with my other categories. And then these two cubes here I use for kid stuff. This used to hold a lot of kids' toys, but it only has a few random things right now, and kids' books. Because we currently don't have little kids in our house, I might change these, but right now when we have little kids that come over, they like to look at all the books and play with these toys, and then the rest of them are downstairs. So currently that's staying there like that. This is a string of pearls that I got from, I think that's what it's called, from my mom. That's actually probably not the name. It's something. I'm not really a plant person. I like how they look. I don't do super well with keeping them alive. Then I've got our Sherlock Consulting Detective game. We have two of them. One of them we're borrowing out to friends. This one is the Baker Street Irregulars. This is a book nook that Holly made for me. I have it on the top shelf here because the extenders are a little bit taller than the regular bookcases, and this is the only one it fits in. I'll have to show you guys inside of it at some point. There's a light to turn on and stuff. It's really cool. And then we just have some more games up here. This next shelf is kind of continuing middle grade stuff. Nonfiction. We've got the I Am Canada series and another war series, a bunch of Christian heroes books, the Mandy books. My daughter's never read these, but they are a blast from my childhood, so if I see them in thrift stores, I collect those. And then we've got some Trenton Lee Stewart books, including the Mysterious Benedict Society books and a plant that's getting in the way. The Books of Bayern series by Shannon Hale. We have books 1 and 3. Christy Miller series. So these are kind of, I say these two are like upper middle grade, low YA kind of thing. And then the Little House series. Here we have a mug that I made in a little pottery class with my daughter that holds my pens and my highlighters and stuff. And then here is a bunch more of our middle grade books. Some of my absolute favorites I just keep here. I'm going to do another middle grade recommendations video really soon. And then here I have a bunch of seashells and things we've collected in different travels. This is supposed to have a better space on the bookshelf, but I keep buying more books, and so currently it's kind of just shoved up in there. I have my Spurgeon's Sermons 10 volumes here. I'm not very far into this, but I like those. We've got our Google Home, a bunch of essential oils. These are a bunch of books we're using in our homeschool. Mostly are poetry books. Okay, the OCD-ness in me can't handle that. Someone put that one in upside down. Mostly poetry books and a few books that the kids like to use often. Then these bottom two cupboards hold mostly homeschool supplies. I did clean it out a while ago, but it does get messy again. A bunch of books and notebooks and pencil crayons and that kind of thing. And then this one is just a ton of books and resources. I kind of have it broken down into category. So I've got like history here. These books just don't stand upright, so that's a variety. We've got some math books. Over here is a ton of science books. We have a lot of science books. Some drawing books and nursery rhymes and another poetry book. And then just a variety of books here as well. And then a couple different resources in there. Okay, and then the top of this one has our photo books. I used to be really good at printing these out. 2014 is the last year I actually printed. So that's kind of terrible, but more games. A lot of those we like to play together as a family. And then this shelf is my classics I have read shelf. Obviously it's overflowing, and I'll move my Wordsworth editions here so you can see what's actually behind it. And my Puffin in Bloom. So these are my classics that I have read. Some of them I have really liked. Some of them I have really not, like this one. But I just like to show off that I've actually completed it. And yeah, this one needs a second shelf. I do want to reorganize my shelves really soon, I think. I'm just not sure how I want to go about it. Okay, now this shelf is mostly middle grade stuff. A lot of stuff my daughter likes, although she has a lot of her favorite books in her room. Here I have like a jar of money that's random assortment of coins and bills from different places we've traveled. So we have like South African Rand and money from Grenada, Uganda, the United States, England, Scotland, just little bits of money from a variety of different places, Mexico, and then, yeah, just a bunch of middle grade books there. And the Keeper of the Lost City series, both my kids really like that. And even I've enjoyed the series as well. And then kind of more of the same here. We've got our Narnia. My kids really like the Green Ember series. A few other books. Oh, I really like the Premeditated series and the On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness series. A couple of the Ascendants series. And some Spy School books. The top shelf of this one has more games. Burgle Bros. We got this one for Christmas and have been playing that quite a bit as a family. This shelf, well, I've got my beautiful Secret Garden book that I just hauled here because I needed it nicely displayed. And this is kind of like my YA shelf, I feel like. I've got the Enola Holmes series, The Host, a bunch of YA books. I have Incarceron here and Safik there, so obviously I need to do some organizing. I think I'm going to unhaul these Robin Hobb books. I haven't officially made that decision yet. This is a elephant made out of banana leaves that we got in Uganda. And seashells from, I think this was from Jared and my honeymoon. More YA books. Then this shelf has just become a mix of a bunch of books that are on shelves close to it that don't really fit here, plus my Sanderson books. Jared has his own Sanderson books in his office, so yes, our books cannot be together. He likes his in his office. And then this really cool old vintage camera that doesn't work, but I got 1 year for Christmas from Jared. And then this is like my Christian fiction section for the most part. Lots of my favorite books here. I've got all these Carrie Stewart Parks books and those ones. Safely Home is such a good one. So many. I've got some Terry Blackstock books, my Jimmy Joe Wright collection. Lots and lots of books that I really love. And then here is Nancy Drew. So I still am missing a couple books. I have a list of the books that I'm missing, but I'm on the hunt for them slowly. And then there's also a couple poetry books that I got from the thrift store recently. Now these next two shelves are like kind of tucked away behind this chair, so I haven't always kept books here very well, I feel like. But right now what I have is my short story collections and poetry that I have not read. So they're hanging out here. I have some library books here, some nonfiction that I'm currently reading. It's kind of just a mess of a shelf. And then down there, yeah, I haven't really used this. So I've got a crossword puzzle book and brick Shakespeare books, and then a binder that I use every morning kind of for some journaling things. This area has our TV, obviously a fireplace, and holds a bunch of books that we're currently reading. So that part's just often kind of messy, holding a bunch of books. And then once again, top shelf has more games and a basket that is doing nothing. I should probably get rid of that. And then, okay, these are like middle grade books that I feel like aren't really written for middle grade. So I've got them up here kind of out of the eyesight of my kids. This companion library collection. Then this is my very short historical fiction section. And then it moves on into like some nonfiction stuff that doesn't really fit in my other places. And then here is my classics that I have not read yet and are not on my classics, like 50 classics to read list. So I'll get to these eventually, but they're not on my TBR shelf downstairs. This shelf has some of my favorite books. We've got Sherlock Holmes, we've got Agatha Christie. She takes up a lot of space. And then we've got The Beekeeper's Apprentice, and then a couple other mystery series that I'm thinking of quitting and possibly getting rid of some of those books. Jared is rereading Rhythm of War, so he's got that hanging out here. These are a bunch of Christian non-fiction books. I like to organize my books by color because I feel like it's less visually jarring, but I like to do that within genres. And once again, we've got books that are shelves that are hidden by a chair. So for that reason, I try to make them books we don't access very much. These are just some more middle grade books, ones that I'm not that huge of a fan of that my daughter likes, so she can grab them if she's interested. And apparently this shelf is really dusty. This is some of my TBR that these are often like the second or third book in a series, and I haven't got to the first one or so yet. So these are TBR books that are not next up because I need to read some books on my TBR shelf first. Then we'll just go up this shelf from the bottom. So this is a stack of books that is very random. Now that I'm looking at it, why is this even here? TBR books, I guess. Why? Most of these should be on my TBR shelf, so apparently I need to do some arranging here. And then we've got some middle grade books. A lot of these I had picked out for my son to read this year, so he's starting to read some of them. And then just some other books here. I don't really know why that was. This is my red L.M. Montgomery shelf. So we got my Anne series taking up some of these books. This part of the shelf, I haven't got to this one yet. Some that I haven't read. I haven't read Mistress Pat. These ones I've read. These ones I haven't read. And then the House of Dreams book, which I'd like to reread because I wasn't a big fan when I read it, but I also wasn't a big fan of L.M. Montgomery at that point, so I'd kind of like to try that one again. This is my Lord of the Rings shelf. Jared has his own, my daughter has her own. I have these like faux leather books. They're really small, but I really like the look of them. And then, that's not going in there. I found this at a sale one time and I really like the cover of that. Then we've got another plant that's trying to be in the spotlight here, and a couple Hardy Boys books. I'm curious to know if my son is gonna like these before I start collecting all of them like we have a Nancy Drew. I just want to make sure that he's actually going to be interested in them. So we have a couple right now. Okay, here we've got a variety of books, some short stories, some nonfiction, and some poetry. Yeah, kind of books that I didn't know exactly where to put them. And then some games and a puzzle. Okay, so there is my bookshelf tour. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing kind of like how I organize my shelves and what's on them. I am tempted to do a complete reorganization. I've thought about doing it like just by color and not by genre. I'm not sure if I'm too OCD for that or if that would work well. And then maybe like filming the process of doing that and then giving another tour afterwards. We'll see if I get ambitious enough for that or not, or if I kind of just do little adjustments here and there. But thanks so much for watching, guys.